Hello guys, welcome to our channel, The Surgery Times. Myself, Dr. Aditya Prasad Padi. Follow us in Instagram, Telegram, Facebook, as well as in YouTube. And today's topic is incontinence and its types. So it is very important from starting from the definitions. It is one line question is MCQ. Each line is a MCQ. So it is very important for MS students. It can come as a long question also MC students. So kindly remember this and note it down. It is the content is taken from Campbell 12th edition and also Smith 19th edition. Okay, so it is very important. Let's start the topic. First is what is urinary incontinence. As you can know, urinary incontinence is nothing but the involuntary loss of urine. Okay, involuntary loss of urine, that is urinary incontinence, and it is divided into 7 categories. Okay, so first is stress incontinence, second is urge incontinence, then mixed urinary incontinence means stress as well as urge mixed. Next is continuous incontinence, pseudo incontinence, overflow urinary incontinence, and functional incontinence. So each one of us will discuss here and it will be very easier for you, and so please be concentrated here. So first is stress incontinence. Stress means whenever there is abdominal pressure over the bladder, then the urine will leak. Okay, where the increase in intra-abdominal pressure will occur when coughing, sneezing, exercise, all these activities. Okay, and here usually small amount of urine will leak. Okay, and it is sudden, and most commonly occur in women after childbirth or menopause, and it is related to loss of anterior vaginal support. Okay, anterior vaginal support will be lost as increasing in age. And next is weakening of the pelvic tissue. So in these conditions, stress incontinence is seen. So mechanism is hypermobility of the bladder, neck, and urethra, as well as intrinsic sphincter deficiency. And remember, intrinsic sphincter deficiency or intrinsic sphincter injury occurs while doing prostatectomy, radical prostatectomy. So men after radical prostatectomy, where there is injury to external urethral sphincter, in those cases, stress incontinence is seen. So how will you treat these cases? First is conservative management, surgical management also there. So surgical conservative is lifestyle modification only, and pelvic muscle training, that is Kegel exercise. Kegel exercise is nothing but 8 to 10 times. Okay, and 8 to 10 times perineal muscle contraction. Okay, it should be done, and each should be for 10 seconds. Each contraction should be for 10 seconds, and it should be continued for 4 to 6 months minimum. Okay, so like this. Next is surgical. Surgical, how? Bladder neck suspension, mid urethral tapes are using intraurethral bulking agents or artificial urinary sphincter, as sphincter injury also can cause stress incontinence. Okay, got it. Next is our urge incontinence. So as you can see, in stress incontinence, increase in intra-abdominal pressure will cause the stress incontinence. Urge incontinence is not like that. Here, involuntary passage of urine coincident with sensation of urinary urgency. So whenever there will be sensation of urine, then suddenly it will come out. That is urge incontinence. Mainly occurs in case of specific infective conditions like cystitis, neurogenic bladder, advanced bladder outlet obstruction. It may be a sign of occult bladder cancer. So how will you management? So here conservative, mainly pharmacological, not surgical, because in stress incontinence, surgical is required as there is pelvic floor tissue loss is there. So childbearing or menopausal, advanced aged old females, surgical repair is also required. But in case of urge incontinence, mainly bladder relaxation, that is anticholinergic medical therapy, intravesical botox, or neuromodulation, that is sacral nerve neuromodulation or intersteam therapy. It is important. Intersteam therapy is used for management of urge incontinence. Okay, it is nothing but a stimulator will be outside, and the inner side, the electrical pulse will go to the sacral nerve. Okay, as showing in the diagram. So there is sacral nerve excitation will be occur in pulsatile, so that bladder activity also increase. Now, how will you differentiate between urge and stress incontinence? Already I have discussed this one. In urge incontinence due to mainly pathologic process like bladder outlet obstruction or cystitis, hence treat the primary cause. Also, urge incontinence not amenable to surgical correction. That is, stress incontinence can be corrected surgically. Okay, urge incontinence mainly pharmacological in order to increase the bladder compliance and increase urethral resistance. Okay. Now, next is mixed urinary incontinence, that is stress plus urge incontinence. So we have to treat both of them. Okay. So here urinary urgency with loss of urine, that is urge incontinence, and next is loss of urine with Valsalva maneuver. Both should be present. Hence, management is both. Simple. So let's see. Next is continuous incontinence. Continuous incontinence means here it is the bladder, and continuously there is some dribbling will be there. Okay. So wetness in the perineum independent to urge to urinate or maneuvers that increases IAP, intra-abdominal pressure, that is Valsalva maneuver. All these are not dependent to this. Okay, it will continuously, the urine will dribble out. So what is the most common cause? Most common cause is fistula, first of all. Okay, that is VVF, UVF, vesicovaginal, urethrovaginal. But out of them, vesicovaginal fistula is most common. And vesicovaginal fistula, where it occurs mostly secondary to gynecological surgery, radiation, or obstetric trauma. Second major cause is ectopic ureter. Ectopic ureter is mainly either in the it open in the urethra or female genital tract from the upper pole of segment of kidney, upper pole. Okay, upper pole to up to the bladder, and it may enter the urethra or female genital tract. Hence, here small amount of urinary leakage should be there. Okay, now as you can see in the diagram, the ureters, it is intramural ectopic ureter, whereas extramural ectopic ureter. All these cases, continuous incontinence should be present. But all these patients void normally. Okay. Along with that, continuous urinary leakage should be there. Hence, as a long time period, all these phenomena occurs. Hence, you may misdiagnose as chronic vaginal discharge. Okay. One important point is ectopic ureter never produce urinary incontinence in male. Okay, as they always enter to the bladder neck or prostatic urethra proximal to external urethral sphincter. Okay, proximal, if this is the external urethral sphincter, the ureter should be proximal in case of male because of large urethra is there. Okay, so ectopic ureter never produce urinary incontinence in male. Next is pseudo incontinence, most common in female, remember. Next is it is similar to continuous urinary incontinence but fail to demonstrate true urinary incontinence. Means what happens here, you can see in the picture, there is labial fusion, severe labial fusion or chronic vaginal discharge. All these cases are causes pseudo incontinence, that is dribbling of urine should be there. So here in those cases, thorough pelvic examination should be done in order to identify the cause. Okay, and as the severe labial fusion will be there, so labia should be retracted back and the catheter should be pushed in order as a management. Okay. Next is overflow urinary incontinence, otherwise called as paradoxical incontinence. Paradoxical incontinence, why? Because it often cured by relief of bladder outlet obstruction. That's a paradoxical. Okay, see, this is the bladder, this is the urethra. So whenever there is urinary retention will be there, okay, high residual volume, okay, and in those conditions, the bladder gradually increases in size, okay, chronically distended and never empties completely. Okay, so there may be obstruction in the urethra in those cases, so that the urine is not coming out, and instead the bladder pressure, the bladder increases in size itself. Okay, and urine may dribble out small amounts as bladder overflows, and mostly it occurs in night. Okay, mostly it occurs in any causes of bladder outlet obstruction cases, overflow urinary incontinence occurs. Just remember this much. Hence, it is see, this is a obese patient, suppose. Okay, though the bladder is over distended here due to fat and all, you may not palpable completely the bladder, whether it is full or not, over distended or not. So it is very difficult in case of obese patients in order to find out there is presence of overflow incontinence. Okay, and also you already I have said it is considerable length of time over chronic period it occurs. So patient may totally unaware of incomplete bladder emptying. In the history, they will never tell you incomplete bladder emptying is there. Okay, so in those cases, you have to see for post-voidal residual volume. Okay, so means ask the patient to urinate. After urinate, you should examine through ultrasound how much urine is left residual urine in the bladder. Okay, it should be more in case of overflow incontinence. Next is functional incontinence or disability associated urinary incontinence. From the name only, you can know disability associated with urinary incontinence means here normal bladder outlet anatomy and physiology will be there, but patients with limited mobility or limited access to a toilet or urinal are having functional incontinence. Okay, here cognitive ability assessment in case of elderly patient is required. So this is how already described about 7 types of incontinences with examples and how to management important points. Okay, now next is enuresis. It is taken from purely from Campbell. Enuresis is nothing but urinary incontinence during sleep. Okay, so normally in children up to 3 years of age, normal, it is normal. Okay, but persists in 15% cases children up to age of 5, 1% cases up to age of 15. So remember this one, this may vary from book to book also, this value, but it is in from the Campbell 12th edition. Okay, next is enuresis must be distinguished from continuous incontinence because enuresis only in the night time, whereas continuous incontinence should be in the day as well as in the night. Okay, and if all children more than 6 years of age, enuresis should undergo urological evaluation. More than 6 years with enuresis, then must undergo urologic evaluation, although you may not found any significant urological abnormality. So go through the slides repeatedly 3-4 times, like, comment and share, and don't forget to subscribe our channel, The Surgery Time. See you in the next video. Till then, thank you and goodbye.